Hey guys, so I just got back from Holifest in New York. Third year in a row, super fun, but it's my last year. And I always wear a wig because I don't want that dye to go in my hair because I have very light brown hair with a lot of white hair in it. And I'm always afraid that it's gonna like get dyed and stay that way. But it was just amazing to have like the unity of all of these different people from all these different races and all these different ethnicities and all these different shapes and sizes coming together and just in a festival of colors. This year's festival compared to last year was not as good because last year had better bands and better music. This year it was more like people were just excited to come and throw powder at each other, which is cool, but at the same time it's like, hello, entertain us with some good music. But generally, you know, it is a really good time and I hope that next year is better. I'm not going, but if you guys decide to go, the Holifest in New York City is awesome. The last 2 years it's been in Brooklyn, but this year it was in the Bronx. Oh, I have to sneeze, sorry. There's like tons of powder in my nose and probably in my lungs. But I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to go. All right, so check it out. I had some fun. Just, you know, letting you know what some fun things to do are in New York. Oh, of course, because I have to get spiritual, you guys. I was talking to my friend last night at dinner, and she was talking about why we're here. You know, like how like sometimes you evolve to the next level, but you choose to come back to help humanity. And like every single person that I've met since I was a kid said that I'm here for a reason and I'm not like everybody else and I'm nothing like, actually I'm nothing like everybody else and I'm not. And she was telling me that it was so interesting because everything I used to talk about when we were teenagers, she was like, all I thought about when we were teenagers was like, wow, Mara's really weird, but I like her. She's really fun, right? And she's like, but now I understand. She's like getting into all this spirituality stuff and learning about all these things. And she's like, and now I'm vibrating on the same level that you're at. And she's like, I understand. I get you. She's like, you were just ahead of your time, you know? She's like, you were just enlightened and you just knew things before the rest of us caught up. And I was just like, yeah, I'm still there. Like, I'm still waiting for people to catch up to what I know now, you know? But it was just really, really interesting because one, it made me feel good. And then she's like, the reason that you haven't found anybody is because you're so spiritually evolved that it's so hard for you to even relate to the people of this time. And I'm like, yeah, like, I know that. I was like, I mean, just like waiting for people to catch up. And I just can't wait to meet that person that's like on the same level as I am. Clearly, if the person that I thought was on the same level as me was, we would be together, but we're not. So clearly they weren't. So I'm trying to wait for the universe to bring me that person, even though they're really late. And then she was saying stuff like, she's the one that like was the catalyst for the solfeggio frequencies. So basically my broker told me in the morning and then this friend told me about the solfeggio frequencies at night because we had to have like a girl powwow because like my heart was broken. And then I took her out for her birthday dinner, which was like a month later, but still. Yesterday, and she was talking about like all of these things. She was talking about Dolores Cannon, which I don't know anything about, which I have to look her up. But I also look at angel numbers, so I'm wondering if it's the same Dolores. And then she was talking about how like, which I thought was really interesting. She said all of this is improv. She's like, you come here with a plan, right? But because humans have free will, you are able to kind of improv and change the plan. And I told her, well, you know, I've always learned that and I've always believed that this is what I believe, and I've always believed that since the beginning of my life. You reach a crossroads, and there's always crossroads. And that's why I always tell everybody life is a test, and you have to be careful what you choose because the choices that you make dictate the future that you'll have, right? So you get to the crossroads, and it's like a pick a path book. You get to choose what you want to do. If you go this way, your life turns this way. If you go this way, your life turns that way, right? So I know, I can tell you every single time my life took a shift, I felt it. And I'm like, damn, I made the wrong decision, but it was too late to go back. You can't go back and change your decision because it's already been made. Once you make the decision, everything else falls into place, right? If you've ever had glimpses or daydreams or you feel like this is wrong, I'm supposed to be doing something else, it's because when you made that decision, the universe created a parallel universe or a parallel dimension that went that way, meanwhile you went this way. So I know in another dimension, me and somebody else are extremely happy, totally in love, like doing what we're supposed to be doing, enlightening humanity, like whatever. you know, and if the universe finds a way of like fixing things, so hopefully we'll see what happens in the future. But I know I came here for a very big purpose. And she was like, so I told her, I said, I feel like, you know, when you get to that road and you make this decision, you know, it creates a parallel universe with where you made the other decision. And she's like, yeah, you know, and I was like, wow, you've really evolved a lot, because in January you were not like this. Like, she's just been immersing herself with all this information. And this is stuff, and I told her, I was like, this is stuff, girl, that we learned when we were 17. Like, when we went up to get to these meetings to learn from these people, you know, like, this is what they were telling us, you know. Like, obviously she wasn't paying attention because she was like in a whole nother world, but I was paying attention, probably because I didn't have sex yet and my mind was more on focusing on learning and stuff. I wasn't really looking at the guys and stuff like that. Like, I just was really focused, you know, all through high school. Like, you know, I just waited a really long time to lose my virginity, and then a really long time to like love somebody, and a really long time, like, I just took my time, because my mom always told me to do things according to your age, and I did. You know, I'm kind of still stuck in little younger years, but I am. And then she said, she's like, you're a starseed, but you're also a light worker. And I'm like, okay, like, what do you mean? And I was like, explain. And she's like, light workers they come here to help people. And like, they just do things to help people move forward. She's like, but starseeds, she's like, they come here and they are here to help humanity. And they're here to help the world and earth evolve to the next vibrational level and like evolve as a whole. And she's like, and they're constantly given information and downloads. And I'm always thinking, and everybody knows that, like, all my friends know that I can't stop thinking. Like, you saw the whole thing about the manure in the last video, right? Like, my brain just doesn't stop, and I'm so full of information, and I'm just like, you know? And she was like, starseeds are just constantly being downloaded information. And I'm like, my friend, who I miss so much that left, I'm like, he's a starseed, and I know he's my soulmate. I don't care what anybody says, you know? And I was like, and I just have a feeling that, like, you know, he needs to evolve at his time, because I always said the same thing. I said, I'm going to go back to the starseed stuff. I said that you come here, right? And when you're younger, you meet the people you're supposed to meet. So it's kind of like you're drawn to people because you're like, oh, there you are. There you are. Ah, I found you. And you don't know why you're drawn to these people, but you just are. And it's just innately. It's because you're part of your soul circle, but you don't realize that because you don't remember, because when you came here, the amnesia set in, which I don't think is amnesia. I think that when you're born, the reason you can't speak is because if you could, you would just talk about everything, right? And everything that you've experienced in all your lives, and oh my God, my last life, blah, blah. So they do that, and they put you in a place where it's a different language. So even if you could communicate, you couldn't. So now you have to learn this new language. You're like tired because your bones are growing and you're growing and whatever. And by the time you finally get to speak, after you like are observing everything and you're learning, and you're like, oh my God, okay, that's broom. This is, you know, up. This is mom. This is dad. You know, you forget. Part of you subconsciously is there, but you forget. So I think humans are created in a way to forget from their past lives. Some don't, like that kid. Oh my God. I love that kid. He was on Oprah. Mattie. Oh, hold on. And he came here awake and aware. He was never lost. And he died at 7 years old of like whatever disease that he had. Mattie Stepanek, I think it's called. Here we go. Yes, Mattie Stepanek. Oh my God, this guy's amazing. This kid. These books, A Heart Song's Treasury. I'm going to put the link if you guys want to buy it. He wrote amazing poems that are so enlightening and enriching. And that is one of the few people that come here and they're awake and aware. They never lost it. They know. They just know. You know what I mean? And then other starseeds and other light workers are drawn to them. Oh my God, what an amazing human being. Look him up. Watch the videos. Oh my God. So he's the starseed, right? And I came here with a lot of memory. Like I retained a lot. I just kept it to myself because I know how people are and how they think, and they're just like, even my friends in high school, they're all telling me the same thing. They're like, when you were in high school, we thought you were like really pretty and really sweet and funny and kind, and like, but you were kind of weird. Like you talked about some really weird stuff, you know? But we were like, oh, that's just Myra. But now that they're getting older, they're like, no, like you knew things before that none of us knew, and now it's all coming into enlightenment because it's all coming out, you know? And I'm like, duh, hello. So Starseed, so she was like, I'm constantly always thinking about stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I just had this great idea and I think we should do this. And I always tell people, I'm like, look, if I could find a business or a business person that looks at me and they're like, I'm going to pay you for all your ideas. I have the money. I have the resources. I'm just going to need you to sit down in a think tank, come up with the ideas, come up with kind of like a basic plan, and I'll pay you like $250,000 or $500,000 for each idea because you know you're going to make a lot of money off of it. I'm cool with that because I have so many ideas, so many that I think are going to propel not only humanity, but like just make money. And it's like they're just sitting there. And I'm like, I don't have the resources to make it happen. I can only do so much. You know what I mean? So she, like, when I used to tell her a lot of my ideas, and she's like, when I read that and they were like, this, you know, starseeds are constantly downloading with information. They're always getting ideas and thoughts, everything from the universe. She was like, that's Myra. And I laughed because that moment she was just like she was like, that's Myra. And I was like, that is me. I am like that. Like I look at people and sometimes I'm like, do you even think? Like, are you thinking? Did you even think before you made that decision? Like, are you just listening to other people and then doing what they tell you? Because like, you know, and I'm really good friends with this girl, Janine, because she thinks. Like she's one of those few people that like, we look at people and we're like, you know, even my friend Igor, we're just like, okay, logically that doesn't even make sense. That's not even morally right. Like, what were you thinking and why are you thinking these things? Oh my God, I didn't even realize you guys saw that, but there's something really important there. And, and so I was like thinking to myself, like, wow, maybe I am a starseed. You know, like I know I'm something. My friend Michelle tells me every day, she's like, I think you're an angel. She's like, I don't think she's like, you're not from this planet. I was like, bitch. And she's like, no, you're not from here. She's like, you're definitely not a human. She's like, you're in a human vessel. She's like, but you're not a human. And I was like, okay, that's like really flattering, but like fucked up at the same time, you know? So it's just really interesting to see what you guys think. I just went through this whole like emotional thing, a human thing of like loss of a person that's not dead, which is like the most painful kind of loss, because if they're dead you have to kind of cope with it because it's a reality. But when they're not dead and they're just choosing not to be in your life, it's the most painful thing in the world, like ever. And it like it makes me wonder about like all the people that I maybe have done that to, which I probably did, but they weren't as hurt as I was. Maybe, I don't know, it's all new experiences. But the whole point that I was coming to after all of that is that, remember how I told you that I think that the universe is a lotto and you win and you get a chance to come here, right? So basically you come here, you meet all your people, you like meet them through like sheer coincidence or whatever, through your friends, your mom's friends, blah, blah, blah. And then you kind of separate. And then later on in life you get back, then later on in life, something will draw you together to kind of like come together and fulfill that mission, right? But in the meantime, I call it static. And that's the space where you get to be a human and you get to party and drink and laugh and do this, or you can be calm and meditate and learn and absorb and, you know, whatever you want to do. I call it the fun time, you know, like, so that's me traveling and doing this and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and everything that you learn in your fun time, you kind of like use for your purpose. So like, that's what I was saying the other day, that like I was more enlightened when I was younger, but I have more knowledge now. Knowledge of this time in this world and this earth the way that it is at this time, right? But I was more enlightened with the universal truth when I was younger. So between there and now, there was a lot of information that I had absorbed to assimilate and understand what's going on in this world to see how I can help it. Because I've always said since I was a kid, you have to learn the rules so you know how to break them. You have to learn the rules so you know how to fix it, the system, right? So it's all like coming full circle and it's all coming together now. And it's like they said that this whole shift happened on Saturday, where it's like people are manifesting things more frequently. All your karma has been paid. And, you know, like all your good karma is now coming to you, or your bad, depending on what you did. And what I know mine is all good, so I'm not even worried. And you're going to like reap these benefits and this fruition, and doors are going to open and things are going to happen. And I totally believe that because I see it happening already. Oh my God, I have so much dust in my nose. Like if you were with me last year, you know, all that stuff that gets stuck in there. I need to shower. But it was basically about that. And you know that I totally forgot what I was talking about. I'm like, that. But yeah, so this is the time. And the interesting thing, okay, that's another thing I wanted to talk about, vibrational levels. So remember, okay, the solfeggio frequencies bring you to a higher vibrational level. And I was telling my friend over and over again that like, I couldn't hang out with the people that I was hanging out with, and my life was different because I was hanging out with people that are on a different level than I am. And it sounds rude and just, you know, like if you're like not on my level, you're like, oh my God, that's so rude. I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. I just mean we're vibrating at different frequencies, and you want to hang out with people that are vibrating at your frequency. And when I first met them, we were totally on the same frequency. It was so crazy and in sync. Then they left and came back. We weren't vibrating on the same frequency at all. It was like not like, no, nowhere near each other. And it just kept getting further and further apart. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I got to live my life. And it's interesting because when that person was in my life, everybody that loved me and that was my friends, like they still loved me and they were my friends, but they kind of stayed away from me. And I think it's because they thought that I was vibrating on a different frequency. But the moment this person left my life, like I tell you, like a tidal wave, all these people are coming back in my life because now they're like, I think there was the energy that was blocking it, if that makes any sense. And now that the energy is gone and that my domain is free and it's vibrating on my level, all of a sudden all of these people are coming in, all of these new opportunities are coming in, everything I've ever wished for is coming to me. It is like, what? So I'm very grateful. I miss this person more than anything in the world. I just wish that they would increase their vibrational level so that we can be on the same vibrational level, so that we can finally like be in sync. But that's probably not going to happen. And it's important for you to increase your vibrational level. So listening to the solfeggio music does help. Being around people that are at a different level does help. I remember when I was in DS Max, which became Grant Marketing, which became Sidcore, or vice versa, it became Sidcore and then Grant Marketing or whatever, and it keeps changing names. Anyway, that sales company gave me like the personality and the attitude and the strength and the whatever it takes and the don't give up attitude that I have. I did 5 years door-to-door sales, 6 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day. Like it was my whole entire life. I went to 13 different states. I won contests to go to 2 different countries. And yeah, it was just amazing. Like I loved that company. I love sales, you know? I love talking to people. I love being excited. I love hearing their stories. I love hitting my quota so early that I can just hang out and meet people in the afternoon, you know? That become clients later on anyway. I just love it. I love talking to people, hearing their story and understanding it, right? So they told me one thing. They said, when you're climbing a mountain and your friend falls, do you climb to the bottom of the mountain? Do you climb lower to carry them up, or do you just throw them the rope and let them carry themselves up? And of course, most people would be like, oh, I would carry them, or, you know, the correct answer, right and wrong, is you throw them the rope and you let them pull themselves up. Because if you go down to carry them up, you're going to expel all your energy and you won't be able to make it to the top of the mountain. At least if you throw them the rope, you can make it to the top of the mountain and then pull them up. Does that make sense? But they need to be able to pull themselves up. And the whole point is you can't help people who don't want to help themselves go higher. Does that make sense? So I'm constantly looking to get higher and learn, but I want to do it for morally rich people. There was a woman that I just worked with recently for 2 weeks. And within those 2 weeks, I had made the decision, I can't work for you because you're not the right person for me to work with. And I don't want to insult anybody or anything, but our energies were just not on the same level. And she was a little bit mean and a little bit rude on a whole nother level. And it just sucked the energy and the soul out of people. And I didn't want that. And I was like, you know, that might work for these people because we're vibrating at different levels, but it's not going to work for me. I'm sorry. I need to work with somebody that's higher than me, but understands where I am, and they're willing to train me and work with me so that I can elevate and move to the next level. And that's how I've always been. I've always offered that opportunity to everybody in my life. Whether or not they take it, that's up to them, you know, but I'm always willing to learn and I'm always willing to teach. Right? So now I keep meeting, like now that I'm getting into Reiki and all that, I'm meeting all these spiritual people and they're finding me. I'm not even finding them. And they say the universe, and when you're meant to do spiritual work and healing work, that they'll find you. And the master finds a teacher, the student doesn't find the master. Does that make sense? So I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'll you know, I'm up for it. Let's do this. You know, Oprah, call me. What's up, Obama? Hey, Alicia. What's up, Lenny Kravitz? Love you guys. But definitely Oprah, call me for real. You can call me anytime you want. You can text me. You can email me. My name is Myra at letmeschool.com. MAYRA@LETMESCHOOLYOU.com. What's up? But no, really. this is a wig. We need to work to constantly evolve ourselves and move forward. And you know, sometimes we go through ups and sometimes we go through ups and sometimes we go through downs. But it's up to you what you choose to do. Like, I was stuck. I admit it. I was like good and solid and like free until I was like 34. And then I met somebody who shook my whole universe in a good way. And things didn't turn out the way that I expected it to, I guess. But then that person came back into my life and it was just not right. Like, I can't explain it. Like, just nothing was right. Nothing was right. Nothing turned out well. Like, everything was bad. Like, it was just bad. And that, again, messed with my energy. And I knew that the best thing, and I'm sure this person knows too, was for us to separate so that we can grow into the people that we're meant to be. And then if the universe desires, or we get to that level where we can be in the same room together, we can always be in the same room together, and we always brought each other peace, which is what I think you have to look for in your partner, being in that comfortable silence and having that peace, because you guys just reciprocate such peaceful and positive energy. You don't even have to speak, you just understand. But hopefully that's what's going to happen. But you never know. They just might send me somebody else because they were like, this is too crazy. You guys are on 2 different pages and like, blah, blah, blah. Separate them. Like, just separate the 2 of them. They can't even play together anymore. And it's like, but we want to play together. And they're like, no, you can't play together. And we're like, but that's messed up. But like, that was part of the plan. And like, well, the plan has changed. You know? It's kind of like, that's what it feels like. Like, it's just like, wait a minute. This is messed up because this is what we planned. And then the universe is like, no, 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 no. There's been a change. And you're just like, I don't like this. I'm not okay with this. But, you know, in the end, you're just like, you know, what can I do? Maybe it's not a mistake. So anyway, that's like how I think about everything. But it's interesting that all these people are coming back into my life, and they are so spiritually evolved. Like, they're talking to me and they're like, did you know about this? And did you know about that? And did you know that your Mercury, right? Like Mercury's not in retrograde anymore, and that like we're in a new shift, and like the nodes have shifted and all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, like, look at you being all spiritual and, you know, okay, it's so nice to see that you came to your own right. And the thing that's interesting, and the reason that I haven't slept with anybody in 3.5 years, is because I'm very aware of my body and my energy, and I'm very particular with who even gets to kiss me. I haven't kissed anybody in 3.5 years. And yes, I've been in love with this person, but I wasn't even willing to exchange any of that because I knew we were not in sync, right? So it's kind of like, she was saying, like, I just learned that you exchange energy with people. And she's like, I thought of all the guys I slept with, and I understand why I was so sad and depressed all these years. And I'm like, duh, you know? And she was just, because I'm very particular with who I choose, and I choose people based on energy and like how I feel, and that I feel like you're positive or you're not. I have like a formula, but it doesn't make sense to anybody else, and I don't really care because it works for me. But she was just like, and now she's like, I don't think I need to have sex ever again in my life. And I was like, whoa, 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 calm down there, buddy. Hold up. And she was just like, no. She's like, and then I was like, well, the Buddhists are like that. Like, they never have sex. And she's like, yeah. She's like, Nikola Tesla never got married. And she's like, maybe he was gay because back then you couldn't be gay. You know, she's like, but she's like, he pent up all that energy and he took it and created things. And she's like, I feel that so many people, they stop having sex because they're able to create more things because they take that energy and they transform it. And I was like, well, that's what the lady that was teaching me Tantra was saying. She said that you have to find a way to transform the energy, whatever it is, negative, positive, whatever, into something good for you. So that's kind of like what I'm going towards. I'm taking all that pain, that disappointment, that sadness, and I'm trying to cultivate it into my business, cultivate it into creating things and products that are beneficial for humanity, not just people, but humanity, like the deodorant that I'm developing, and all these holistic homeopathic products that I'm developing, because I just feel like it's so much better to go back to Mother Earth and use things that are 100%, you know, natural. And the interesting thing is like baking powder. I'm like, where does it come from though? And everyone's like, no, but it's natural. I'm like, no, but where does it come from? Because I want to know where it comes from, and I want to make it from scratch, or I want to get the rock and then grind it myself. Like, bentonite clay comes from a rock and then they grind it. I'm like, give me the rock and I'll grind it myself in my Vitamix, and I'll make my own bentonite clay. I don't need you to make it because I don't know if they're adding other things to the clay. I don't want that. I want the pure source. I want to go boom to the source. I'll buy essential oils because I'm really not trying to make them. I tried. I made a bunch of tinctures the other day. It took me a while. I mixed tequila with like a bunch of like, you know, like garlic, and I ground it up and I put it in there. And then like I strained it after like a week or two of like shaking it every single day, multiple times a day. I did the same thing with coffee. I did the same thing with turmeric. I did the same thing with, what else did I do? So I made these tinctures because I'm like, oh, it's the source. And then tequila is really good for your stomach because it kills all like the bad bacteria. So I'm like, oh, the two together, just take a couple of drops. Cloves. I did it with cloves. And I created like these tinctures. But then I'm like, I don't know if we're supposed to have that much tequila. Maybe I shouldn't do this every day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out like the balance of like, you know, because nothing in excess is good for you, but like you gotta still learn how these things work. Anyway, the whole point of this video was that Holifest was awesome. Love your friends, love your family, spiritually evolve, learn, you know, follow your inner truth, follow your gut. It is designed for you and no one else. Your inner truth will give you answers for you. And if you give that answer to someone else, it's not going to work for them because their inner truth and their path is completely different from yours. So when you're looking for the answer, look within. Ask yourself. Sit in nature. See what happens. Don't listen to anybody else. What makes you happy isn't going to make them happy. What brings you joy isn't going to bring them joy. You know, the path that you're meant to walk might be a path you need to walk alone. It might be a path you need to walk with others and you just haven't met them yet. Like Sense8. Love that show. It's not realistic, but maybe it is. So yeah, I need to go shower because I'm like really gross and like, oh, did you see that? All right. I gotta go. Bye.